Well, I'm going to go ahead and get us kicked off here. I am a very casual moderator, and I don't do large introductions. I would encourage you all to read Melina's and Arthur's bios and check out their stuff in the thing. And Melina, we're going to start with you. And I was checking you out. I was stalking you a little bit. And I'm so excited about Article 41 and other legislation around the globe that is similar to it. So, not that you necessarily have to talk about that, but I'm assuming you naturally will. So, I'm very excited to hear from you about what you're doing in Argentina.
Amazing. Thank you, Terra. All right. So I'm gonna get started, right? Let me share my screen. Uh, Here we go. Is that working properly? Yeah? All right, super. Well, thank you for the introduction. As Terra mentioned, my name is Melina Scioli. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I'm one of the co-founders of Club de Reparadores. This session is about fixed spaces and why and how do they work, what works, what doesn't, and let me share a bit about our own. To start with, Club de Reparadores, we define it as a Latin American repair movement. We started in 2015. Last year we turned 10. So we are young, but a bit wise around this topic. And ever since, we've been doing and trying to do a lot of activities. We try to organize them in different areas this year and in a sense trying to expand our impact. So we realized that we been working a lot to build a strong community around community repair. So we organized and started organizing community repair events and also working alongside other community groups around the region for them to carry out their own activities. Actually, right now we're working with the city government as well, and they are carrying out community repair events around Buenos Aires. So kind of this is a part of the essence of the project that is kind of building a strong community repair. Then we are having this new headquarters starting last year, and we've been trying out kind of different things around having a fixed space that I'm happy to share in a bit. Thirdly, we put a lot of focus on actually promoting trades and employment trainings. Trainings in repair trades. In informal settlements. We've been working with an agency from the city of Buenos Aires, and we've been carrying out these trainings for the past 4 years with really amazing results. Something particular is that after they normally last around 3 months, and once the training is over, we organize a community repair event to open the activity to the neighborhood so they can actually promote their services and they can practice a bit what it's like to actually work as a repairer. Okay, then we have a strong interest in education and how do we actually make repair something attractive and feasible, let's say, for young kids and young people. So in 2018, we launched the minor leagues of the Club de Reparadores, which is a secondary schools education program. This year, we are trying to relaunch it. And actually, at a city-wide level, to work with schools to initially have activities within their schools, and then we kind of arrange for like 5 schools in an area to share and participate in a community repair events. So we call it an inter-school repair event. And lastly, something that we are gonna try to do this year is to launch a repair contest. So we are super excited about that. lastly but not least, after turning 10 years, we realized that we needed to know and understand a lot more the problem that we were to some extent trying to solve, right? So we are kind of doing some research this year around the state of repairability in Argentina, let's say. What are the conditions, the opportunities, and the barriers for repair? So we just started, and it looks really exciting, and we'd be happy to share results whenever they are ready. So why a fixed space? In our case, it had to do with wanting to build a stronger local community, because before we did itinerant repair events around Buenos Aires, but what happened was that we never were two times in the same neighborhood. We never were two times in the same day. I mean, if it was a day of the week or a weekend. So it was kind of, there were some people, we built a community that kind of went along with this itinerant strategy. But we were really curious to learn what happened if we just had one space. So that was one of the objectives. Secondly, was to kind of simplify the production and organization of activities, because we were beginning to wonder if we actually were dedicated to just move stuff around, because that's what we do basically. We just had to always either hire a truck or just like really fill up a car and just move things around the city. So that was kind of also something important for us as well. Also, to have the opportunity to explore and diversify activities, given it was a lot easier to produce something. And at the same time, to have an office. That was also very positive for us as a team, to have like a shared space where we could get together and think together and do stuff together. So a little bit, let's get into our space. This was a fun, when I was looking for a map from Argentina and from Buenos Aires, I found this map, which is very Argentinian, I might say, like thinking we're in the center of the world. But for me right now, I am, because I'm there. So just that's the center of my world right now. So we are in Argentina. It's very south of Latin America. And in Buenos Aires, which is the capital city of the country. Our neighborhood is called Warnes, that is in Villa Crespo, which is a neighborhood that is characterized by having a lot of mechanical workshops. When you need to get your car fixed, this is where you come. So actually, our neighbors are quite fond of repair. So you might see somebody like walking around with spare parts. So that's very atypical normally in the city, but it's something super normal around here. So that's kind of a nice characteristic of the area. And this is our spot. This was the day that we opened, that we organized this community repair event. We are renting this space that has like a small patio, a social area, and a space where it's dedicated for more like a workshop. So here you can see, like, this is the door to the first space, and then the area of the workshop. We designed this furniture that is quite handy to find things. That is one of the most complicated things around repairing, right? Just like, where are the tools? Where are the things that we need? So this works quite well in events. And since we started, we kind of explore different kind of activities, like community repair events, as we knew we normally organize, and some other things, like, for instance, like building furniture, following Enzo Mari's work, but just for kids, so they're really tiny. Or we gave talks. This is with one of the companies that we work that actually sponsors some of our activities, which they are dedicated to adhesives. So we give this like workshop on how to glue things, right? So everybody wins. So we did quite many activities, quite a lot of activities since last year. We started in March. So we did over 55 workshops, and that's Around, these are approximate numbers, 650 people showed up and participated, and we did eight open repair events. So this is quite a challenge, how to economically sustain a space for community repair. That's what everybody thinks about, right? When you see, oh, that's super nice, they're having this space, but yeah, how do you do it? So what we are doing right now, it doesn't mean it's a magic answer. It's like we, to some extent, charge for the activities that are taking place. So we charge a fee. Um, for some of the paid workshops, we share or sublet the space to other projects that I'm going to share a bit more in a little bit. And we try to find sponsors that support our activities. So a mix of all these ways of funding actually sustains our space. This is the other project that we are kind of subletting or renting our space. It's called La de Fábrica. They are super nice. They work with kids, kind of repurposing toys and recreating toys. And so just kind of a glimpse of a balance to put things, what works and what we still don't know how, how to do around having a space. So it works in terms of we do have a stronger community and team. It's amazing. We It's super enjoyable. What happens like having a space. We were able to organize new and fun activities that we didn't do before, and a lot of around like building a stronger team that happened. It is definitely easier to organize activities. Somebody just has to open, and that's it. And it's also easier to find things because it's a tidier space for tools and materials. And also it's a way of also of receiving donations, something that we didn't do before because it was kind of difficult to understand that to what extent it was useful to receive donations or not. So now we understand and we either take them or not. And also it gives us a little bit more time to have a better planning and communication of our activities, which ends up resulting in more people participating. So for us, it's amazing to have a space. Something that's quite worrying for us right now, that it's exciting and worrying at the same time, is that we need to do renovations. The space needs renovations before it gets a little bit risky to be here. So we will be closing not in April, but in May, and reopening in October. And so what comes up after this reopening that is gonna be quite long is that we're gonna kind of relaunch the space with a new structure because it's gonna be a little bit bigger. We're gonna have a larger space upstairs. So we are thinking of maybe creating a membership, given that we are called Repair Club in the end, just like I think we should have a membership. So we are trying to figure out what that looks like. I was very interested in learning more about tool libraries. There are many projects participating in this summit to see if that's maybe an opportunity for us to kind of open a tool library here or a shop. And then something that's, I wouldn't say negative, but that it kind of something to bear in mind is like we are a small team, so carrying out all these activities is quite a burden, or it's quite challenging in terms of time. So because there's a lot of presence required, and that's kind of something to bear in mind, how to manage that. And in terms of funding, it's not securing time. It's just we kind of month to month we kind of see how well we are doing with activities and funding. So that's kind of a glimpse of our space here in Buenos Aires.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that presentation. I really appreciate it. Arthur, we're gonna kick straight to you. So I wanted to just like say a little bit about each of you, and Arthur is gonna tell us about permanent repair spaces in London. Arthur, I have to tell you, you made me finally look up what a high street is. I've heard it in like I watch so much like period drama and stuff, and they talk about the high street, and I never knew what that was. So thanks to you, I actually know what that is now. So I'm gonna kick it over to Arthur.
Sorry, I'm just, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
If I
Mhm.
put it into slideshow mode.
Yep.
We're right at the end of the presentation, which is not the best place to start. As I flip
No,
back
you're
through to the thing. Fab, thank you so much. I also wanted, Melly, just to show the T-shirt that when you were last in, I've still got the T-shirt with your printed badge on. So I wanted to
Oh,
represent that. Yeah, because you actually came and visited one of our fixing factories during Fix Fest in London in the summer. Uh, Fab. Okay, yeah. Well, quite a hard act to follow, but I'm going to try and talk a little bit about what we do in terms of fixing factories. So essentially, how we frame what a fixing factory is a high street hub supporting people to repair electrical items. So I'm going to show off a tiny bit about some of the kind of press coverage we have. I think the nicest one of this is people calling them positive, hopeful, and lovely places. And I think that's my experience of having these kind of permanent spaces. I think for background, for context, I was a workshop manager in a fixing factory. So I was the workshop manager in a fixing factory in East London, in Hackney, before becoming kind of a fixing factory's lead for the project. So I've witnessed firsthand what it's like to kind of be on site and feel all the kind of positive, hopeful loveliness that happens as part of these spaces. So I'll talk a little bit about how many we have, and then I'll talk about what we do. So currently, we have 5 sites open. We did have a trial site in kind of 2022 to 24. Then we opened the first one in Camden, the first proper one on a high street. I use that phrase again, in Camden in 2022. And then we received some funding from a national lottery to essentially open 3 more sites. And we've ended opening 4, and I'll explain why in a second. So essentially, we have 5 active sites on the high street open, all in London. So sorry if these place names don't make any sense to a lot of people, but all of these are kind of areas of London where we're currently operating. So I'm just going to run through the sites really quickly. So this is our site in Haringey in North London. It's our biggest site. It's actually in kind of an industrial estate. So out of all of our fixing factories, this is the one not on a high street. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on. It's still very much a fixing factory and we do the same activities. But this one is much larger than all the other sites that we have. This one is in a library and is actually opening this month. This is our Victoria site. That's me sweeping in our tiny little site in Hackney. The reason I've wanted to put these photos on, it gives you an idea of space, of kind of what we're working with. So this actually used to be a hair salon. So when we took it over, we had to kind of renovate it, paint it orange, which is our kind of fixing factory colors. But yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of the smaller spaces. And this is our one in Camden, again, a similar kind of size. And you can see the tools kind of hung up on the walls there. And then this is one we're actually collaborating with a social enterprise that work on textiles. So this is kind of a new model that we're trialing. Still a permanent space, but actually collaborating with another organization, while all our other sites are kind of, we coordinate all the activities from that space. So who runs the fixing factories? It's 2 organizations. Some of you might have heard of one of them. Organization on the right is the Restart Project, who I currently work for. And then we've collaborated with another UK-based organization or charity called Possible. And essentially, we managed to secure some funding from a national lottery to run a 3-year project, essentially, to pilot what it looks like to run permanent spaces on the high street. What can we do? We're quite lucky. We've got 3 years to kind of test and learn and explore different things, kind of what Melly was saying about, we'll try this, we'll try that. We constantly have to adapt and learn to see what works. We also want to see how much income we can generate to see if these sites can be financially sustainable, and I can answer some questions about that after the presentation. So it's a real opportunity. We're actually coming out to the end of year 2. We have about 1 more year left of the project, and what our offer has changed quite a lot since that first year, and it's very much adapting to the needs of the community and kind of what the kind of the general landscape about repair and reuse is. So what do we do at the Fixing Factories? Essentially, we're committed to running free weekly repair drop-ins, so very much on a kind of repair cafe kind of model. It's 3 to 5 hours once a week in all of our different sites, where if you have a broken item, you can bring it in, get it fixed by one of our volunteers completely for free. So we're committed to doing that across all of our different sites. We run a free training program for our volunteers. We call it Future Fixers. It's a 6-week course where you go from the very basics of repair all the way up to some more kind of technical experience level repair. And a lot of our volunteers that take part, or the people who take part in that program, do continue and commit to volunteering with us. We also run affordable skills workshops, which essentially are our kind of main income generator. And so we teach people how to solder, we teach people how to take apart a toaster, and we teach people basic fundamentals of repair via fixing a lamp. So there are kind of 3 main workshops as part of our kind of affordable repair workshops. And then some of our other kind of income generating activities, we do take donations and sell some of our low cost refurb tech. Varies across sites. In one of our sites, we have a partnership with a local charity shop who take the donations, we refurb, clean, pat test, and then they sell, and we kind of split the profits. But in one of our sites, we also sell directly from the site itself. We've started doing standard drop-off repairs for people that don't want to come to the community repair session, might not have enough time, but still have that item that wants to be fixed, so they can leave it with us. We work on that as part of our repair club. It's the turnaround can be quite long, so we have to manage expectations compared to if they took it to a kind of classic repair shop. But also as a learning opportunity for some of the volunteers to kind of work on those items as well. And then also to generate income, we do run off-site activities such as corporate volunteering and organizational workshops for kind of third parties, local authorities, businesses. That's another kind of income generator for us. Roughly, we're open about between 2 to 3 days on each site. And we have a workshop manager in each site who works for 4 days a week. So they oversee all of these activities taking place on each of their sites. The workshop managers coordinate with each other, meet up a lot, talk about any changes to activities. We test and learn from each other. If something's working well from a workshop perspective, we can change that and implement that in the other fixing factories as well. So some of our kind of impact across the different sites, we've had 900 attendees trained in repair. Our kind of surveys show that trainees show 100%, 50% increase in likely to repair in the future after attending one of our particular sessions. I think a crucial one is us being a valuable part of that community, and the reducing loneliness and mental health issues is a big thing for us. And I guess, yes, we fix people's items, but we also are very much a kind of community hub where people can come in. I think for me, that's the really big value of it, is the kind of intersectional side where you have people from multiple different backgrounds coming in with their different reasons, for like some people who are used to having things to repair when they were growing up, to younger people more conscious on sustainability and climate issues, or economic issues, and they're all sitting in a room talking about this reason. Some people more kind of rebellious, anti-capitalist, but having these kind of conversations across generations, across different backgrounds, I think is a super important part of having that kind of permanent space. Yeah, so a lot of our going back to kind of economic issues, a lot of the people receiving our repairs are kind of unwaged. Uh, I think a really interesting one is about bringing people to high streets as well. So with the kind of data that we've got, it's basically saying 50% will come directly to the fixing factory specifically to kind of visit our activities, which is bringing people back to the local high street. And then we've estimated a kind of social value of about 181,000 just across the first half of 25 and 26. So some of the benefits from what I see from kind of our side of running this, uh, very much what Melly was saying about being rooted in the community. We we have relationships with the local shopkeepers. We have a cafe opposite our Hackney one where they can kind of give us discounts on coffee. We have a various different kind of barbers and shops kind of nearby, and we're kind of very much part of that community. The charity shop we have a partnership with are just around the corner. And then we have that real kind of community side of it where people just come in to have a cup of tea, to donate their items when they realize that you're there. They're kind of it's a place they can come back to. And also just to kind of say hello. A lot of our kind of local residents now know who we are, and we're kind of very much part of that community. I guess another thing from a permanent space, it feels very much like a base for our volunteers. We're very reliant on our volunteer base. And having somewhere which kind of feels familiar, they can come in, they know where the drinks and the snacks are, how to make a cup of tea. Sometimes they pop in for a bit, sometimes they stay for a longer period of time. I think that kind of rooted space really allows people to feel connected to it. And yeah, our kind of volunteer retention across all our sites is really, really good. I think it also allows people to feel like they can take ownership of it as well. We'd quite like volunteers to run their own repair club or come down and fix some of their own projects that they're working on within the space. And I think having a space that feels like theirs, we train people up who are now key holders and can kind of go in and out of the space. And I think we did actually look at talking about the membership model. We looked at doing that initially. We then kind of dropped it, but we are actually now thinking of bringing that back. We run an 8-week course called Fix It Yourself, which isn't so prescriptive. It's a bit more kind of come in and tinker, learn how to do stuff. And I think people are paying to do that and actually really enjoying that process and building up the community as well as doing that. So we're maybe looking into some of that membership stuff again. Yeah, and then we're able to run repair clubs, which are awesome. I think it's where all our volunteers come together, work on items, get to know each other. We've got beginners working with experts. They're learning from each other. They're building that community. And I feel having that space, and we can replicate that as well. If they want to do 2, 3, 4 repair clubs a week, we're able to do that because of having ownership of the space. And then from a kind of customer service user perspective, from conversations we've had that people feel there's less time pressure. It's not just once a month. They're like, oh, okay, I've got this item, but we're here every Saturday. So whenever you're free, you can come on down. So it kind of normalizes that we're just part of the high street, and they don't have to kind of necessarily sign up. We do have sign-ups for our free session, but it's also first come, first serve if they want to come down. I think if they're getting item fixed for a fee, they can leave it with us, which is quite important. And not having to, if we're halfway through a fix and not having to lug it back, we can kind of look after that item and fix it for them, let them know when it's done. And also we can signpost to other activities such as our workshops. So if someone comes in to get an item fixed, we can then say, and they're kind of, oh, I've always wanted to learn how to repair. We can say, oh, we're also running these items. They know exactly where the space is, what it looks like, what the vibe is, what the feel is, rather than us saying, go to this workshop somewhere completely different. They feel comfortable and it's familiar. So we think that's really important. How am I doing for time, Terra? I'm all right. I've
You're
only got a couple.
yeah, you're a few minutes over, so if you want to rapid fire it, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll whiz through.
Well, we've
No,
got
I'm going to finish on this because this is maybe going to lead into the questions, I guess. So I think a big challenge for us is yes, we have funding. We have funding for 3 years. I can talk a little bit about where we're at in terms of how much our income is covering our kind of costs in the questions potentially. But we have funding and we have these spaces, but we're not open 24 like 5 to 7 days a week. So we feel like there's a bit of a lack of utilization of that space, which is a bit of a shame. And we're trying to work on what we can do around that. Yeah, funding is limited, and we've realized it is crucial, especially if we're going to do the stuff for the community, and that's a big part of what we want to be able to offer. So funding probably will be required going forward. And then, yeah, just simply size wise, the small sites we have, there's too much stuff. And we just can't get it in there and wish we could process more. And the big space we have isn't on a high street. The one space we have, we can have 20, 30, 40 people in there, but we're in an industrial estate. So to have a big space on a high street, at the moment, we don't have that. And the funding required to be able to do that is really high, or the income needed is going to be really high. And then other things just around how long we've got the lease for, insurance, utilities, lockup, gates, and all that kind of technical stuff of owning a space comes into play. I'll stop there because I want to leave enough time for some questions as well.
yeah, excellent. Two fantastic presentations. I also wanted to say, I forgot to say this at the top. I wrote it down because I thought it was so clever. I want to read it to you really quick from Arthur's website. Some of the copy said, from tablets to toasters, from laptops to crop tops. I thought that was really cute. And I meant to say that at the beginning. There were some really good questions and conversation in the chat. I think a lot of them got answered as we were going. Does anybody want to, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself, and we can do it that way as well. I'm gonna go from the Q&A. Okay, so I think this is, well, this could be both of you actually. So, Susie is asking about insurance issues. This question is tied to the insurance issues here in the United States. Do you charge for repairs, or are they free or pay for parts only, like in a cafe?
I can quickly go on our two models. So just general repairs, we have a free service, which is our community repair. It very much is the person coming in will sit with the fixer and learn how to do it. And that's very much why we call it community repair. And we ask to leave at least an hour for that to happen. We don't charge for that. That's a free service. We do have a fix for a fee service where you can drop off an item. You don't have to wait. You're not learning as part of that. We charge a small donation for that, and it's non-refundable. So it's anything from kind of £15 UK pounds up to about £30. So it's a small amount, but it also means if we can't fix it, they don't get it back. So it's seen as a donation, and we have quite a high turnover with those items. It does generate some income for us, but it's not like if you took it to a typical repair shop, they would charge way higher than what we're charging.
Right. Melina, did you want to answer that question as well?
Right now, we only organize community repair events where we don't charge for repairs. Basically, we encourage people to bring their own spare parts or whatever they need for repairs. It's something that we have here. We normally would keep it for free as well, as long as it's not super expensive, let's say. But yeah, right now we are not charging for repairs, but I'm just taking it down to learn from Arthur. So we'll see.
Nice. Heather, go ahead.
Great. That was what those presentations were wonderful. I'm Heather Trim with Zero Waste Washington, so Washington State and ID policy work. Two questions. One, and I think this is mainly for Arthur. So after the 3 years, what is your plan for getting the more sustainable funding other than like trying to apply for grants? Now, my second question for both of you, and this is not at all a negative question, that please take this in a positive light. Because we've grappled with this. What about the competition when you go to a fixed space? What about the competition with the other repair industry? So, for example, shoe repair shops, or how are you grappling with that issue of the competition with the actual businesses that we also want to support? We kind of want both, but how do you guys navigate that?
Should I go ahead after Arthur? Yeah. Competition. Well, it was not an issue when we were an itinerant event. So we always say like, okay, this is super helpful because we're never 2 times in the same space. And what we did is before the event, we would kind of map all the repairs of that area and create like a very analog map with their data. And just encourage people that couldn't fix things during the event to just visit their local repair. Now that we have a fixed space, we realize that we are in an area where there are not many like electrical and electronic repairers, or just people that textile repairs as well. But more so, we just organize like probably one event per month, and it's more so like a social gathering. I don't feel like everyone is invited to come. The repairers can come and kind of publicize their services. So we are not open all the time. So it's very random when you can actually get something repaired in a community repair event. So I think we are not a competition for local repairers right now.
Yeah, I completely go from our side. So we don't fix phones, laptops, the things that are kind of typical repair shops in the UK are kind of fixing on the high street. So we're not in direct competition on that side. There is a couple of shops in London which are still doing kind of small electrical appliance repair. But we do have a good relationship with them, and I guess it's keeping them as part of the community and saying we're here to support each other. And it's similar to what Melina was saying, if we don't, we're not open that much, and we can always signpost. We're happy to have their flyers. We have some of their people on our kind of advisory board. We want to work with them to kind of ensure that they can still keep on going and run as a business. And if we haven't had any complaints basically since we've started. So I think if we were to have that, I guess it would just be how would you navigate that after that? Yeah. And then was there a question around funding as well, about after like post?
Your next 3 years,
Yeah.
after the first 3 years run out of funding, what is your plan?
Yeah. So that's basically my job now, is to try and work out what we do around that. So we're thinking of lots of different things. One is working with waste partnership teams, so waste contractors in the local area, and we're having lots of conversations about being embedded into kind of longer term contracts for waste contract in specific areas. Our site level costs, we're predicting we could get closer to kind of 70, 80, even 90% of our keeping our site level costs going. So site level is essentially rent, but that doesn't matter if it's in kind, and a workshop manager 4 days a week. The other things are kind of, not huge outlays in terms of small things for parts or things here and there. So we're getting closer with our income generation to cover that, but having to cover our central costs, which is kind of my time, communications, website, all the other things that make it happen, we're still looking probably to try and get that externally funded. And I think that would be the best position we could get to if we could go to a funder and say, look, these places pay for themselves via the income they generate, but we do need core funding to make sure that they're supported and that they're learning from each other and we're promoting that. And if we can get to that level, I think we feel like we'll be able to get the funding to do that.
Nice. Excellent. Thank you to you both. Anna or Anna? I'm not sure.
Hi, it's Anna. Yeah, hi. My name is Anna. I'm from the Municipal Reykjavikur or Reddinga Cafe or Reykjavik 2 Library here in Iceland. I actually have an answer for Heather. We do a Reddinga Cafe, which is a Repair Cafe event. We have a monthly event, or we also do a roaming Reddinga Cafe, so we go around the island doing events. And we partner up with local repair shops and they give us vouchers. So if we can't repair something, people can go to their shops and get 15-20% discount with vouchers. So that's how we solve that problem because we are very small. So we definitely face that problem straight away where people are like, well, you're competing with us. And we're like, no, we are more of an educational platform. You come here, you repair with us. If we can't repair, here's a voucher for you to take to the right location. So that's one way that we solve that problem. Then the other thing is for us is really difficult to have permanent open places because in Iceland, if it is a 9 to 5, that's considered a job. So we cannot volunteer on a like a place like that. So when we ran the tool library here, it always had to be an employed tool library, never ran anything on volunteers. We can only do volunteers for events. So how do you guys determine within your space? How do you manage volunteers versus what it becomes more than a volunteer and that really should be a job? And how are you planning around creating jobs in this space? Because I think I do love Iceland. I chose to be here, and it's because the policies here are extremely good for community. And if someone's doing a job, that should be a job. We should find a way of paying for a job, right? So how do you guys see that evolving within your local places?
Keeping that passport current. The problem is only.
Go ahead, Arthur or Melina.
Should I go on that one? I'll try and be quick. Yes, we're very aware that kind of the reliance on volunteers for kind of a lot of the work we do. We try really hard to give back to those volunteers, whether it's learning specific skills, making sure our future fixers training courses, kind of developing them, and therefore, as part of our work, we're asked to deliver lots of external stuff as well in terms of workshops to local authorities, and we're now training up those volunteers when they're not doing the kind of volunteering stuff, which we're very clear isn't. We're trying to differentiate that they're getting a lot out of that, but when it's just them delivering workshops and all that, we're hopefully providing work as part of that as well. And a lot of our volunteers do get paid work through us now in terms of delivering external workshops. In an ideal world, we'd be generating enough income that they'd be doing some of the stuff with their volunteering and we're also paying them. But we also sometimes have to be really clear with customers coming in and saying, look, there's not the same expectation. This volunteer wants to spend 6 weeks working on your radio, and that's for them. That's a benefit for them because they enjoy that. They enjoy being in the space. And that has to be the expectation rather than us saying to the volunteer, you've got a week to turn that around, because that is more like a role. So it's just being really clear about the roles and then also training the volunteers up to ensure that when paid work does come available, we're able to say, yeah, we'd love to be able to do more, but that's kind of all we are doing at the moment.
Excellent. I am so sorry I have to be the heavy here and cut us off. We're at 12:16 now by my watch. So thank you so much to both of our speakers. Thank you to the audience. So just remember to go back to the lobby and then you can choose between Library of Things collab and telling your data story. And we'll see you in the next one. Melina and Arthur, are you two, do you have are you in the like networking section so people can ask you questions?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
all.